Long ago 12 people performed rites to drive out evil spirits while huge monsters watched from the shadows. These strange beings are divided into categories based on their weird nature and lost souls. To fight these creatures, an elite office called the Crouching Tiger was created by an ancient emperor. Everything changed in the year 1900 when a star crashed and filled the world with dark energy. In the modern day, a girl hides in the dark while crying into her phone and begging for help. Trembling with fear, she tells the officer that a pair of cursed red shoes is hunting her. Those tiny items were bought during a trip, but they brought a terrifying curse into the home. Every single night a dark figure in a red dress appears and stares without saying a word. This monster gets closer each time and now shows its decaying face right in front of the poor victim. Trapped inside a closet, the lady explains that she even tried burning the objects, yet they still return. Looking at her bedside table, she sees the red shoes have appeared again despite her efforts to destroy them. The girl begs the police to hurry because she cannot take the terror anymore while staying hidden. Hiding inside a wardrobe, she calls out for her mother as the phone starts making weird noises. Widening her eyes in shock, she hears a creepy voice on the line saying it finally found the hiding spot. Realizing that no one is coming to help, the terrified woman jumps out of the closet and runs for her life. A terrified girl trembles while a stranger bangs loudly on her door and she wonders if they are trying to break inside. Looking pale, she stares at the entrance because the mysterious visitor continues to strike the wood with great force. A strange message mentions the 18th day of the first month while a creepy face appears in a dark reflection. The scary figure looks closer and we see some dark liquid dripping from its face while the atmosphere gets very heavy. A spooky figure in red clothes sits on a chair while holding a mask and a dark puddle forms underneath the seat. The scene shifts to a modern city where police cars are parked outside a big apartment building during a sunny day. Wei Yuan is busy sweeping his yard, but he stops to look at the commotion next door since he just moved to this area. Looking at the old house, he remembers how the previous owner wanted to sell the land but sadly passed away too soon. The workers carry a covered body toward the ambulance while our hero realizes that something terrible happened nearby. Suddenly a loud noise echoes from inside his own home and he quickly turns around to see what caused the racket. Fearing that a thief might be stealing his stuff, the young man rushes through the door to protect his small property. He enters the main room and sees an old shrine, but he feels relieved because everything seems to be in order. While looking at the altar, he notices a golden tag standing upright even though he remembers leaving it flat earlier. Picking up the mysterious object, he reads the ancient words written on it and wonders about its true history. As the golden tag glows, a massive tiger spirit appears behind the boy with burning eyes and a terrifying roar. Holding the strange object, the boy wonders if this is actually some kind of powerful divine artifact since it looks cool. Looking at the back, he notices his own surname on the piece and thinks it might be something from his ancestors. Celebrating the discovery, the youth raises his hand while a giant warrior appears behind him to show their past glory. Suddenly the sharp edges cut his finger and he yells out in pain while staring at the small wound. A single drop of blood falls onto the white paper while the mysterious tag rests nearby on the desk. Glowing with energy, the paper reveals a decree saying that all monsters and evil spirits must be executed. Realizing the truth, the protagonist looks at a pair of red shoes and understands that this is a wanted notice. Deciding to solve the mystery, the teenager thinks that he should just ask the internet about these strange events. Sitting at his computer, he only finds shopping links for slippers instead of actual clues about the ghost shoes. Remembering the earlier events, the guy realizes the tag reacted exactly when a corpse was passing by his house. Thick fog suddenly fills the entire room and the confused boy wonders why the weather changed so fast. Walking through the mist, he spots a faint red light and wonders if another police car has arrived at the scene. Stepping outside, the mist clears to show a massive ancient palace that definitely should not be there. Looking around in shock, the lost boy asks himself where he is because the modern city has completely vanished. Approaching a giant dead tree, he hears a strange song while seeing a mysterious figure waiting in the darkness. Near a well, a spooky lady in a red dress sits while a guy watches her from behind. Looking very creepy, she calls him her lord and says she was waiting for him to finally show up. Suddenly the scary bride stands up and starts talking about something very mysterious. Flying towards the boy, she complains that he made her wait in a very miserable way. Reacting quickly, he summons a huge golden tiger that lets out a massive roar to defend him. Without warning, everything shatters like glass as the young man wakes up while breathing heavily. Checking his phone, he notices it is 3 in the morning and wonders how he fell asleep so fast. Standing in his dark room, a notification pops up saying he just received a brand new email. Staring at the screen, he finds it very strange to get a message at such a late hour. Inside the message, he sees an interview notice for a museum job that pays 5,000 every month. Arriving at the museum the next day, he tells the boss that the place was really hard to find. Looking around with a lost expression, the boy wonders where the owner of the shop is hiding. Behind the desk, an old man wearing glasses sits while smoking a pipe and looking at papers. Fixing his glasses, the old man says he needs to confirm something important with the boy first. With a very serious face, the boss asks if the young man is actually afraid of seeing ghosts. Looking at the nervous boss, the boy wonders if something spooky is hiding here while gripping a golden tiger token. Thinking the young man has enough positive energy, the elder believes his new worker will survive the strange environment. Mentally checking the situation, the old guy decides not to worry since the teenager applied for this job at 3 a.m. Opening the heavy doors, the employer offers to show the area so the boy can get familiar with where he will work. Walking through the hallway, they see many red lanterns hanging from the ceiling in a very traditional and creepy building. Shivering from a sudden cold breeze, the protagonist feels a chill despite the warm weather outside the museum. Glancing at some paper dolls, the hero finds them quite evil and unsettling because of their strange painted faces. Exploring the vast rooms, the newcomer mentions how big the place is while his leader walks through the shadows. Spotting a bottle of soda on a table, the kid thinks it is a waste to leave the drink there until it gets totally flat. Staring with a serious look, the owner explains that this entire museum was the life work of his own son. Pointing toward a distant room, the elderly man shows the new hire exactly where he will be sleeping from now on. Pausing for a second, the employer looks quite hesitant and worried about letting the young guy enter the inner area. Waving his hands, the traveler tells the boss not to worry, but the man insists on waiting outside the room. Realizing that things are getting weird, the main character is glad he brought his magical token to protect himself. Standing tall, the boy decides to check every corner before signing the contract since he can leave at any moment. Looking at the museum, the old man sighs because he has already hired 4 people in just 15 days. Staring with concern, the owner remembers seeing something terrifying just the night before. Strange sounds echoed through the building when an unprovoked knocking started at the door during the night. Dark shadows appeared as a mysterious liquid began to flow down from the walls of the hallway. Clutching his chest, the man recalls being chased by a weird figure wrapped in a white blanket. Suddenly, the young guy pops up covered in a sheet and gives the poor owner a massive heart attack. Screaming in terror, the old man asks what happened, but the boy says he was just feeling a bit cold. Thinking to himself, the boss realizes this kid must be really brave to stay in such a haunted place. Handing over some papers, the elderly man offers to pay all the bills and gives 800 for food every month. Signing the contract, the protagonist feels confident since his special token didn't detect any danger at all. Walking away from the courtyard, the boss prepares to leave the museum in the hands of his new employee. Standing by his car, the old man tells the worker to just call if he decides to quit the job. Watching the vehicle leave, the hero thinks his new employer is acting very strange and paranoid. Checking his phone, the youth notices his magical item is completely quiet, so everything should be fine. Grinning happily, the teenager says there are no spirits here while 3 massive monsters loom right behind him. Standing right behind the oblivious boy is a massive blue monster with red eyes and a scary grin on its face. Suddenly, the beast reaches out with its dark hand while some strange smoke starts rising from its fingers. Feeling a weird presence, the hero notices that the golden token in his hand is beginning to glow very brightly. Hissing in pain, the creature pulls back because the hot energy from the boy is way too strong for it to handle. Turning around quickly, the young man jumps into the air to strike the monster with his powerful artifact. With a loud sound, the protagonist hits the target right in the face while a bright flash of light fills the room. Smiling with joy, the boy realizes he can actually touch ghosts and thinks this is a great way to relieve some stress. Seeing the danger, the blue beast tries to escape while leaving some wet footprints all over the shiny floor. Running fast, the hero chases the monster because he is not going to let the intruder get away that easily. Falling to the ground, the spirit begs for mercy while warning that its friends will soon come to help. Nearby, a skeleton warrior and a woman with long hair are just sitting at a table while drinking some cold soda. Punching the monster repeatedly, the teenager ignores the cries for help while the other spirits watch from a distance. Sipping their drinks, the two ghosts decide to stay quiet because the boy has too much energy for them to fight. Looking very scary, the protagonist stares at the other monsters while his eyes glow with a creepy red light. Sobbing together, the three spirits sit on the floor while wondering why this human is so mean to them. Relaxing on a chair, the boy learns these ghosts are harmless since they never hurt anyone or tasted blood food. Looking at the floor, he realizes why those guys were so easy to beat, because they are just weak wandering souls. Suddenly a message mentions a secret treasury where he can get cool weapons after defeating actual evil demons. Surprised by the news, the hero finds out that his simple waist tag gives him access to legendary demon-slaying tools. Instead of the normal path, the system offers 5 different ways for him to see the spirit world more clearly. Explaining the first method, the system mentions ox tears, but the boy thinks that is way too expensive to try. Considering the second choice involving crow eyes, the protagonist finds it super gross and rejects the idea. Skipping the third option, the boy looks terrified and yells that it is just too scary to even think about. Panicking again, he decides the fourth method is way too dangerous and asks for a more reliable way to work. Finally, he finds a good trick using willow leaves and morning dew to open his special spiritual eyes. Smiling like a villain, the kid looks at his ghost prisoners because he still needs a special object for the ritual. 2 small paper spirits tremble and cry while looking at a bowl of water on the wooden table. Gently patting their heads, the young master tells the little ones not to worry because he will not hurt them. Looking toward the bigger ghosts, the teenager says he will use their items instead, and they react with horror. With a funny and shocked face, the hero realizes that things are about to get even crazier in this museum. Looking at a rotten net and some pesticide, the young man wonders why these 2 idiots have such smelly and useless items. Holding up a dark blade, the hero asks the skeleton warrior if this object belongs to him since it looks much better. Placing the sword inside a bowl of water with green leaves, the teenager decides to wait for midnight to test his new plan. Warning the spirits to behave, the protagonist tells them not to cause trouble while he goes home for some supplies. The sun begins to set over the tall buildings of the city while the sky turns a bright orange color during the evening. Walking through the streets, the boy sees a family crying for their lost daughter because she was taken away far too soon. Approaching a stranger, the curious guy asks what happened as he notices the sad people gathering near the entrance. The man explains that a poor girl was murdered just when her life was getting better and he feels bad for her mother. Seeing a red shoe in his mind, the hero decides to ignore the mystery for now because he lacks the power to help anyone. Returning to the museum courtyard, the youth smiles as everything is finally prepared for the ritual he wanted to perform. Looking confused, the 3 spirits wonder what their new boss is doing while they watch him play with strange items. Rubbing willow leaves on his eyes, the teenager laughs happily because he can finally see the ghosts without any trouble. Talking amongst themselves, the monsters realize the boy never responded to them before, even though he could hit very hard. Grinning at his success, the worker explains that the special energy in the water allows him to hear their voices clearly. Pointing his finger, the big blue ghost mentions that the girl brought back from the street is also being very quiet. Suddenly the girl in the red dress appears behind the boy while looking like a terrifying nightmare from another world. Looking at the vengeful spirit, he realizes that the legend of the cursed shoes is actually a very scary reality. While the blue monster tries to be friendly, the lady in the dress stays quiet as she prepares her next dark move. Shouting at the monsters, the hero demands his items back because he feels very nervous about the strange situation. Staring with a single glowing eye, the creepy spirit watches every single move the protagonist makes in the hallway. Without any warning, the girl uses her long black hair to trap the blue spirit while it tries to escape the grip. Gasping for air, the big blue guy complains that she plays dirty since he cannot breathe under the pressure. Standing in the center, the bride spreads her shadow hair to absorb the power of the other monster to get stronger. Watching the scene, the teenager worries because the simple water ghost is turning into a much more dangerous enemy. Realizing the danger, the young man grabs a sharp tool and decides to risk everything to stop the fusion from finishing. Floating high in the air, the monster looks down while the boy prepares his stance for the final battle in the museum. Raising his golden artifact high, he begs the object not to fail him since his life depends on its magical power. Roaring with massive force, the golden tiger appears again to launch a powerful beam of light toward the Dark Lady. Hitting the target directly, the bright energy explodes into a sea of fire and pushes the ghost back with great strength. Swinging his weapon with a fast motion, the fighter strikes at the shadows to finish the job before they can recover. Seeing the scary lady distracted, the two weak spirits decide it is the perfect time to run for their lives and leave quickly. Suddenly the hero feels his body getting very heavy and wonders if using that special golden tag drains all his life energy. Looking at the terrifying bride, the boy is shocked because her red eyes are glowing with a very intense and evil light. Getting really annoyed, the young man swings his blade while complaining that this situation is starting to make him angry. He yells at the ghost and asks why she is so focused on him while wondering if her parents ever taught her any manners. Furious at the insult, the vengeful spirit lets out a deafening scream as her long black hair spreads out like a dark web. Sweating from pressure, the teenager realizes it was a bad idea to try and reason with a monster that only wants to kill him. Standing his ground, the worker decides that since the ghost refuses to leave, he will simply have to fight her until the end. Raising the golden tag once more, the boy summons the massive tiger spirit and promises to destroy the enemy completely. Without warning, a giant bolt of lightning strikes from the sky and hits a red lantern with a massive and loud explosion. Shocked by the sudden noise, the protagonist watches the electric energy dance around while he wonders what just happened. Looking completely stunned, the young man stares at the spot where the bolt hit as he tries to process the sudden event. Noticing the black smoke, the hero is confused and wonders why the scary lady vanished so quickly without a single trace. Watching from a distance, the two weak ghosts think their boss has amazing spiritual power and that his words are divine law. Hitting his friend, the skeleton warrior explains that the spirit was just scared by the thunder and not the boy at all. Feeling totally drained, the young man closes his eyes while complaining that his whole body feels empty. Slumped on the floor, he looks like a person who just ran a marathon because that last fight took all his energy. Waking up in a soft bed, the hero hears a loud voice asking if he is finally doing better after that crazy event. Standing over him, the three spirits look very worried as they explain how they almost felt guilty for his situation. Grinning widely, the blue monster says he will recover soon and tells the boss not to worry about his current health. Suddenly the golden token begins to shine with a brilliant light while the ancient tiger spirit shows its power once more. Floating in front of him, a system message explains that his brave actions earned him 1 point of merit for the office. Ancient texts appear in the air as the narrator describes the secret arts used to banish demons and protect the innocent. Looking at his palms with surprise, the teenager realizes that he just mastered a legendary skill called demon banishment. Holding a yellow talisman, he understands this art allows him to use the abilities of spirits who follow his orders. Smiling with new confidence, the worker thinks about how having 5 ghosts on his side will make future fights easier. Confused by the sudden silence, the boy looks around the empty room and wonders where his spectral friends went. Noticing something strange on the ground, the protagonist makes a weird face while his heart starts beating faster again. Peeking over the edge of the bed, he sees the red shoes pointing toward him and realizes the curse is still active. Listening to the spirits talk, he learns the funny ways they died, such as falling into water or drinking poison by mistake. Rubbing his forehead, the young man thinks about how those simple life skills won't help him defeat scary demons at all. Looking at the two strange companions, the boy asks what they used to do before they became wandering spirits in this place. The skeleton warrior sighs while mentioning he served an old army and fought many pirates but forgot his own name long ago. Hearing about the legendary soldiers, the hero feels shocked that such a veteran didn't become a powerful king over the years. Curious about his skills, the teenager asks if the undead soldier knows how to use a sword or other ancient weapons for combat. Grinning with a clever look, the protagonist realizes he finally found the perfect person to test his magical spirit abilities. Bowing deeply, the kid asks for help while the skeleton shows total respect and says he will follow every single order given. Chanting a powerful spell, the fighter summons bright golden energy that swirls around his body and lights up the dark room. Pressing a glowing tag onto the forehead of the soldier, the master releases a burst of light to finish the special contract. Green flames swirl around the youth while he feels the power of the ancient warrior entering his right hand to serve him now. Checking his fist, the protagonist feels a new strength and wonders what kind of cool things he can do with this energy. Walking forward with a dark shadow, the leader says they must respond to the visitor because it is rude to ignore a guest. Watching their new boss, the two spirits are very impressed by his bravery and think he is a truly mighty person for fighting. Raising his hand, the youngster shouts that he must call the cops because reporting this situation is the most logical thing. Looking totally confused, the ghosts wonder if the human is crazy since the police usually don't arrest monsters or demons. Looking at the floor, the boy thinks the cursed red shoes on the last victim should already be gone by now. Remembering the dark courtyard from his dream, he believes that creepy place actually exists in the real world. Picking up the small items, the young man decides to take them to the police station to ask for some help. Above the city, the bright blue sky shows that a new day has finally started while the sun shines very brightly. Arriving at the local police station, the hero sees a yellow car parked near the entrance of the big building. Sitting at a desk, the protagonist tells the confused officer that a scary ghost is currently trying to take his life. Opening his mouth in total shock, the policeman looks at the teenager and wonders if this kid is actually being serious. Sweating nervously, the boy realizes that gaining the trust of the authorities is going to be much harder than he expected. Suddenly a tall woman appears and tells the officer to handle other things while she takes over this strange case. Saluting with respect, the man quickly obeys the order and leaves the room so his superior can talk to the visitor. Walking toward the back, the beautiful lady tells the young man to follow her into a private office for a chat. Lighting a cigarette with a small flame, the mysterious woman looks very calm while she prepares to ask some questions. Sitting behind a desk, she introduces herself as Zhou Yi and says she belongs to a very special operations group. Exhaling a cloud of smoke, the lady asks the boy if the smell of the tobacco bothers him during their meeting. Feeling a bit relaxed, the teenager says he does not mind while the officer starts asking about the ghost he saw. Smoking a cigarette, the mysterious lady listens to the boy while he explains the terrifying dream about a stone well. Checking recent files, the investigator notes that the teenager has not been in any dangerous areas lately. Considering the nearby murder, the woman believes the news might have triggered a very realistic nightmare for him. Feeling a cold sweat, the protagonist wonders why this professional is staring at him with such intense eyes. Standing by the desk, the captain asks if there were any other strange signs besides the vision of the courtyard. Sitting back in her chair, the expert mentions they might need different screening methods to find the truth. Holding a brown box, the young man remains silent while the lady waits to see what he brought along. Thinking to himself, the hero hopes she is actually a professional so she does not get scared by the contents. Opening the container, the woman looks completely shocked as she sees the cursed red shoes right in front of her. Using her earpiece, the lady tells the captain that the items belonging to the victim have mysteriously vanished. Inside a dark room, the talismans fail to work because a malicious ghost has already taken the cursed objects. Arriving at the scene, two men wearing yellow robes introduce themselves as members of a powerful ancient sect. Pointing to her team, the woman explains that these are the partners who were talking to her through the radio. Gripping a clipboard, the tall man asks the teenager to describe the house from the dream in more detail. Handing over a paper, the protagonist says he already prepared a drawing so they do not have to waste any more time. Shouting in total disbelief, the man with glasses stares at the paper as if he saw a miracle or something crazy. Curious about the reaction, the two companions lean in to see if the drawing actually revealed a major discovery. Tears fall from the expert's eyes because he realized that the boy's painting skills are even better than his own. Standing with a confident smirk, the young man feels proud since his masterpiece left everyone in the room speechless. Controlling a wandering spirit, the hero used the ghost's professional skills to create the perfect landscape. Coughing slightly, the boy explains that the dream location should be the key to finding the scary lady in red. Surprised by the sudden touch, the teenager freezes when the lady grabs his chin while calling him quite smart. Explaining the facts, the youth says malicious spirits get power from negative emotions and natural energy. Smoking her cigarette, the mysterious woman listens quietly while the atmosphere in the office becomes very serious. Getting closer, she mentions how these bad feelings keep growing until the entity becomes a truly vicious monster. Blowing smoke into the air, she shows him the different levels of ghosts because taking them head-on is suicide. Grinning at the plan, the lady suggests that finding the source of the ghost's pain is the only way to win. Suffering for a long time, these entities live worse than death, so destroying them is actually an act of mercy. Checking the records, the boss finds an old opera theater that was sealed off after something tragic happened. Deciding to take action, the team prepares to leave for the new city so they can finally end this nightmare. Moving closer, the captain tells the young man to go back and rest because this situation is not for ordinary people. Thinking to herself, the lady feels like the boy is hiding a big secret while he tries to explain the current situation. Handing over some yellow papers, the man in glasses says the kid will only be a burden if he tries to follow them now. Looking at the items, the hero remembers that these tools might not even work against the powerful and scary ghosts. Getting very angry, the professional gives him 2 papers because he wants to save face after being roasted by the teen. Handing a document, the officer asks the student to sign a secret agreement before he leaves the building on his own. In a big hurry, the team runs away and leaves the teenager alone in the room while he holds the mysterious papers. Suddenly, thick clouds of dark smoke fill the entire area while a strange and creepy sound echoes through the walls. Inside the museum, the protagonist looks around in total shock and realizes that something very bad is happening. While stepping into the heavy mist, the boy feels like his feet are being trapped by the mysterious and cold energy. Seeing a massive crowd of shadows, the young man notices hundreds of people standing perfectly still in the distance. Realizing the truth, the hero understands he was dragged into the same confusing dream, but this time it feels way bigger. Hearing a familiar and spooky voice, the boy turns around because someone says they were waiting for his return. Searching his pockets, the teen panics while asking where his magical waste token went since he needs it to survive. Screaming in terror, the protagonist sees a terrifying face right next to him as the dark spirit welcomes him back. Suddenly, the evil bride strikes the boy in the chest while telling him to stay by her side forever. Screaming in pure agony, the teenager feels like his soul is being torn apart while reality starts to shatter. Falling back to the floor, the hero sees 2 paper talismans burning up after protecting him from the deadly blow. Looking at the ashes, the young man wonders if those magical items were the only reason he survived the nightmare. Touching his torn shirt, the worker realizes the ghost actually harmed his physical body through a simple dream. Floating nearby, the skeleton spirit asks if he is alright, but the boy says he cannot wait for death anymore. With a glowing red eye, the protagonist decides to change his clothes and travel toward the land of Jiangnan. Arriving on the 18th day at a quiet courtyard, the sun sets over an old man resting under a massive tree. Sipping his tea, the elderly man sings a sad song about a red dress and the regrets left behind in the past. Hearing a sudden noise at the entrance, the old man stops his singing and looks toward the gate with curiosity. Standing tall with a giant box on his back, Wei Yuan introduces himself while asking for a person named Jiang. Looking surprised, the elder mentions that visitors are extremely rare in this small and abandoned area of the city. Approaching the seat, the youth asks if no one ever comes to check on him since he looks so lonely there. Sadly, the old man explains that all his friends have died and their children simply stopped visiting him long ago. Widening his eyes in shock, the boy reacts to the news because he did not expect such a tragic and dark story. Looking closely at the face, the teenager notices a small mole and wonders if this elder is actually someone special. Observing the heavy bag, the old man asks what the boy is carrying on his back while looking very curious about the item. Smiling politely, the hero says he plays music and needs tools, but he is actually hiding a dangerous weapon inside. Hidden deep inside the zither case rests a long blade because carrying a real sword in public is way too difficult. Sipping his tea, the elder mentions that some other young people came by yesterday, but they decided to leave very quickly. Hearing the news, the protagonist realizes that his friends already found this place and he feels lucky to be there. Looking at the gate, he wonders why his companions chose to stay outside instead of entering the museum to investigate. Suddenly, dark energy starts swirling around the large tree in the courtyard as a spooky aura fills the entire area. Standing alone in the center of the garden, the young man notices how the layout of the place looks like a trap. Eerie shadows rise from the old well while the boy realizes that the spirit of a tree is hiding nearby in the dark. Widening his eyes in shock, the hero understands that the man sitting right in front of him might not even be alive. Keeping his voice steady, the fighter asks the old gentleman if he knows about a certain famous person from the past. Turning his head with a surprised look, the employer asks who the boy is talking about while gripping his cup tightly. Mentioning a legendary singer, the youth describes a girl who was the best at opera in the whole region long ago. Sighing deeply, the elder admits it is good that someone finally knows the truth, and he prepares to share a secret. This story begins during the final years of the Great Ming Dynasty inside a theater called the Chunqiao Pavilion. Singing on stage, the beautiful girl named Qin Yang became very famous while many nobles came to see her perform. Living a perfect life, she even found a sweetheart and planned to marry into a good family to be happy forever. However, cruel pirates invaded the border while demanding the best food and wine, or else they would start a massacre. Begging for their lives, over 30 people knelt at her door, while even the lady who raised her pleaded for help. Deciding to save everyone, the brave girl agreed to go with the pirates so that not a single person would have to die. After the guards defeated the invaders, the local people began to point fingers and throw trash at the poor woman. Feeling ashamed of their own cowardice, the villagers started rumors and accused her of being a lady with no honor. Wearing the wedding dress she made herself, the broken girl was forced to jump into a deep well to end her misery. Listening to the sad tale, the hero realizes that human nature can be very cruel no matter what era people live in. Even the heavens felt the injustice for her because a heavy snow began to fall from the sky during that autumn day. Realizing something is wrong, the boy looks at his hand as white flakes start falling in the middle of a sunny spring. Suddenly a massive pillar of green light explodes from the old well while the ground shakes with a terrifying power. Staring in total shock, the young man wonders if the spirit of that poor lady is actually hiding inside that dark hole.